check, good. So I'm Max Duran, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Duran and I'm here for our wonderful week of Skills Canada Competitions Edition Skills podcast. So this week what we're doing is we're recording interviews with the executive directors of all the different provinces and territories across Canada. Try to get the vibe of the differences between the provinces, what they bring to the table, and how excited they are to be here in Regina for the competition. Right now I have Carole and Ryan, who's executive director for Newfoundland and Labrador. Hi.
Good morning.
Do you go by Carole or Carole Ann?
Carole Ann, but I will answer to anything as long as you're friendly to me.
I am friendly.
And we're good.
Yeah. All right, Carole Ann. So what are your first impressions of Regina and Skills so far?
Well, Regina, I've actually never been to Regina before.
Okay.
We've hosted the National in Saskatchewan before, but not in Regina. Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful city. I'm really enjoying the visit. Our kids are having a great time here. And of course, Skills, without fail, this is always my absolute favorite
event
week of the year.
Yeah.
In every single way. There's
even with
nothing
all the
better
nerves
on
and all the
Oh, listen, that makes it all the more, because the more nervous people are, the more nervous the kids are, the students are, the post-secondary students, the more it means to them.
Yeah.
And to be part of something that means so much to people and so many and impacts so many lives is a complete gift.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So how long have you been in the role as executive director?
I've been here for 27 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's the record of all the interviews.
Yeah.
I had a 20-year mark this morning.
Yeah, I actually was the first. I started it in Newfoundland and Labrador in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I had a sentence that skilled trades and technologies are first choice career options for young Canadians.
Okay,
and I had
that was the vision.
That was it. And I had the absolute joy and privilege and freedom of creating programming to meet that need. And it's been the joy of my life.
So how did you get into that spot? Because there's a couple different routes. Generally, you're either from a trades background or you're from some type of business background.
Yep.
What was your background that got you in the skills world?
Well, young people listening wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but I saw an ad in the paper and I applied.
Okay. Yeah.
And I am actually the poster child for people who needed something like Skills Canada, because I knew nothing. I knew nothing about trades. I knew nothing about technologies. I had done, I had gone from high school straight into post-secondary to university. I knew nothing about any other stream or path.
Yeah.
And when I saw the ad, I had just graduated and I was working at the Board of Trade coordinating programs. So I saw the ad in the paper. Mm-hmm. And applied blindly. And it just seemed like the most exciting thing in the world to build something.
Yeah.
And what a learning experience, an eye-opening experience it was for me when I realized so many incredible career paths that I knew nothing about. And so many of my friends had no idea that these options were there. I applied and I got the job, and here we are. I took it for 1 year.
Yeah, well, with that 1 year contract.
Yeah, I took a 1 year contract, and I really meant it. I was only doing it for a year because my partner at the time was finishing up at school, and he had taken a contract in Ottawa for 1 year. So I said, I'm going to do this for 1 year, and then I'm going to move to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Right? Oh no.
So new job, old partner.
No. Well, it's funny, and I mean, I messaged my now husband and said, "Bad news. I love it.
Yeah,
I don't think I can move to Ottawa." And he's an angel, so he said, "Okay, I'll move home."
Yeah.
And that was it. Here we are, 27 years later.
So if you were the first, and you're coming in on a job posting for like, "Hey, we got this thing," you're kind of way behind the 8 ball, like, compared to other provinces who got funding and sponsors and programs, and even just the confidence of being a part of these existing systems. How did you start dipping your finger into that pool?
So it was a very quick, I'm not sure if you know how all of the provinces and territories came on, because pre-1998, there was, I believe it was, Quebec, Alberta, Manitoba, and Ontario, I believe, that had Skills Canada organizations. And Canada put in a bid to host the Worlds in
Worlds, yeah.
1999. So the
Yeah.
federal government said, hey, we should get a little bit of seed funding to every
Yeah.
province and territory to at least be able to participate in that. So
Mhm.
that's how we all came
That
on
was the
stream in
inception,
1998. So, when we started, we had a little bit of seed money to bring a team to the nationals in Vancouver in 98. So I started in first week of May, and 3 weeks later, we brought a team to the nationals.
How did you do that?
I actually passed out there. But I mean, the thing is that the beauty of Skills Canada is it's such a simple but perfect idea.
Mm-hmm.
And, the key to our success, as usual, is finding the passionate volunteers and the partners who
The champions.
understand the power,
Yeah.
right? So, first when I started, the initial urgency was just to get a team together. And we brought something ridiculous like 83 competitors to Vancouver.
How did you get so many together so fast?
I called a lot of people. Worked with every single school, every campus in the province, and it just came together quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we returned is then really okay, now what do we do? How do we build this? So, my approach was just to go, I built a board of directors, started inviting people from all the different educational institutions, all the different industry sectors, people, different levels of government.
Even vendors and sponsors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just build a board of people who are interested. And we were just very fortunate that, and again, I can't take too much credit for the brilliance of what this is.
Yeah.
You bring together experts who want to share their passion with the next generation. And as long as you can find those champions, as long as you can find those people they're really the ones that build this. All of those NTCs, our PTCs, our judges. And when you tell them what the opportunity is, they want to be involved.
Yeah.
So that was my experience. And like I said, it was a joy because I had no idea. I didn't have contacts. I didn't know anybody in trades. I just didn't know the system.
Didn't know what you didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
had no idea. And I think that's one of the beautiful things when you can acknowledge how little you know about something.
That's right.
And the key to success is always finding the experts.
Yeah.
And people love
Don't
to
reinvent
share.
the wheel. Don't try to do this. Bring
No.
the people in that know.
Nope. And so we were very fortunate. Our school system was very interested and excited in supporting it. Our local, industry, all of the levels of government were in right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've had a lot of success in building programs that are meaningful in our region, in addition to competitions. Right. Yeah.
Now, for yourself, when you look at Newfoundland, Labrador, I'm in the West. There's been a concept for forever since I was a kid that the Maritimes was like a have-not area. And, we always out West had the Newfoundlanders coming in, the East Coasters coming in to work for shutdowns and summer work. And I think it was a wrong conception that there was no work in the East and that if you wanted to make money, if you wanted to have a career, you had to go somewhere else. Now, how important is skills in reestablishing the concept that you can stay in Newfoundland and have a successful career?
Well, I can tell you my honest experience has been when you are good at what you do and you're highly skilled, you will be successful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's always going to be ebbs and flows in industry. And a lot of people enjoy the mobility that Red Seal gives them,
That's
they
right.
can go anywhere and train and get different experiences. That's all a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in Newfoundland and Labrador right now, I mean, it's such an exciting time with so many different projects.
New
with
mines, new hydro going in there.
The wind turbines, the hydrogen plants, the expansion of Churchill Falls, the renewing of a lopsided deal that we had for many years that's now going to bring so many people
offshore's
home.
coming back in.
Like, it's a huge time, and we are going to need a lot of skilled workers.
Everyone is,
right?
and this is such a stumbling block right now for employers. Right now, do you use that leverage to get employers on board with skills to say, like, look, get involved, and then you get the pick of the crop?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you are literally having the opportunity to see the best in the province, the best in Canada, and cherry pick your workforce. If you want a skilled workforce, and we all know that nothing affects the bottom line, nothing affects, the productivity of whether it's government or industry, then the level of skill of your employees and
the
your
number
team,
one resource
right?
should be the skill of your employees.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, what better way than to come and see the literal best of Canada? And not just people who are highly skilled, because obviously that's important and they have excellent training and they have excellent abilities, but the resilience and the strength of character it takes to be in this environment and even just show up here.
Yeah.
Says a lot about who that person will be as an employee, what kind of pride they take, and how they're going to contribute to your bottom line. So I honestly and truly think that any employer who is not coming to this
He's missing
or not
out.
support,
Yeah.
they are missing out. Some people, throughout the years, I think it's a little bit different in the last number of years, but many years people would say that we're the Canada's best kept secret.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with that to some extent because I'm saying this as someone who the passion has never diminished. I only see it getting better every single year. The need is still there. And employers really, really need to be at the table here.
Yeah. And I think people don't realize also, because maybe they've never been, but Newfoundland and Labrador are not easily accessible as some people think. They think, you can go to Nova Scotia and just jump over to Newfoundland. And it's
not quite that
not
easy.
quite that easy.
Yeah.
Right. So do you find that there's a little bit of an isolation issue with the province?
One of the challenges we have as, for program organizations specifically is that we are a small population, but we are a very
spread right out.
big
Yeah.
geography with a lot of transportation challenges. It actually costs more for me to fly to Labrador, which is part of my province, than it would to Vancouver.
Wow.
Right? So, we have a lot of challenges there. And one of the things, actually that COVID, we tried to find the silver lining in things, it really helped us find ways to do a lot of things virtually and digitally.
Right.
Now, there will never, ever, in my opinion,
Replace. Yeah.
the hands-on,
Yeah.
the tangible, the tool in your hand or the face-to-face, networking. You'll never replace that. But we do have tools now at our disposal to try and bridge some of those
Especially
gaps.
those remote areas,
Yeah.
right? Because you look at provinces. Well, I'm in Saskatchewan. We're a very big province, very small population. The northern area is very underfunded, under-resourced. And so, like you said, the virtual tools help you open to another audience. Perhaps it's not ideal, but at least
But it's something.
It's something. That's
and you can
right.
spark something.
Yeah.
You can spark an interest. And sometimes when we're doing some kind of, we have an amazing team of program coordinators who deliver programming. And sometimes they'll be doing something virtually and they can even tell virtually that there's one student in that class who
Just
is
keener.
hanging on their every word. And they'll put in the group, if you want to reach out to me. And oftentimes they do. And then that student, we may be able to create an opportunity for in
Find
person.
the funding, figure it out.
100%,
Yeah.
because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And sparking that interest. And, even we have a lot of kids on our team. And I say kids in particular, we have junior high kids as well as high school students. And a lot of times, students who participate in some of our employability skill areas, they're already the overachievers. They're the students who are getting the medals for marks. They're the ones who are winning the speak-offs in their school. And, so they are overachievers.
They're already on there, yeah.
And some of them already know what they're going to do when they finish high school. And it may or may not be a skill trade or technology.
Yeah.
But getting them in this environment and seeing, people on a podium for being an excellent welder or an excellent graphic designer, they bring that back to their community.
Right.
And that pride and that joy. So if they have a friend or a family member or somebody in their school who's like, I'm interested in welding, but, mom says I should go to university.
yeah.
They're like, oh my God, look at this event. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, like
They
you
get all
have to.
pumped up. Yeah.
So like that ripple effect is immeasurable.
Yeah.
And, as a not-for-profit, you're always trying to measure things, but you cannot, you can't overstate the impact that every single one of these participants has on everybody in their family, everybody in their school, everybody in their community. Right? It's just immeasurable.
Now, how big of a team do you have? What do you got here from Newfoundland?
We have 34 competitors.
Okay.
We also have about 40 coaches and supporters.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we normally
But
have
this is a little bit smaller team than normal,
It
right?
is, yeah. We normally have a little bit of a bigger team. We normally have about 42, 44 competitors.
Hmm.
This year we lost a few students, unfortunately, because their grad was the same weekend, and we tried to, but the time difference in the travel from
It's
Regina,
tough.
we tried to get them back
Yeah.
in time, but we couldn't. And we also lost 2 students to the Canada-wide Science Fair.
Hmm.
But you know, the team we have are just so excited and so motivated, trained within an inch of their lives,
Yeah,
and are
yeah.
just having the best experience, right?
Now,
And our public college is really great. They, the College of the North Atlantic, they actually send a
wonderful
coach.
programs there
Oh
too.
my
Yeah,
gosh, we're so
yeah.
fortunate, and they send a coach with every competitor.
Really?
Yeah, they pay
That's
for
very
that,
unique. Yeah.
and it's like even for the students, and the coaches can't interact with them obviously while they're competing,
Hmm.
but even just knowing that they're there and looking up and going, okay, because they have such a relationship with these
Hmm.
students,
Hmm.
you know, and being able to look up across the rope and seeing that your instructor's there and thinking, okay, I'm going to check in with them later about this or that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and just having that support is immeasurable,
It is.
you know.
Yeah.
So our team we like to have a little bit of fun too. You have a little bit of fun.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
that the Maritimes knows how to have
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Now, with these competitors, when you know the history, you've been there since the start, basically. What are the trades or events that generally you guys crush? That are usually the ones that
Oh,
every
man.
year we're gonna have someone in the running. Yeah.
Should I jinx things by saying, there's a few areas
This won't
that we
get
always,
released
yeah.
until after, so no one will know.
Yeah. There's a few areas that we're always feeling really strongly about. I
Yeah.
mean, cloud computing is like we
You're all over
excel in
that.
that.
Yeah.
Architectural design.
Nice.
We often do really well in welding, carpentry. It really depends on the year,
Yeah.
right? Because there's
On the industry.
on the
Yeah,
industry,
yeah.
and honestly, there's so many things that you cannot predict or control when it comes to competition. You can have the most highly trained, highly skilled person on the floor, and something could happen
Yeah.
that throws them off.
Yeah,
Or
nerves, anxiety,
anything. The day
yeah.
before, the girlfriend could break up with them. You never know. We've had that happen.
Dog ate the homework. Yeah.
We had someone whose family dog passed away while we were on the,
Oh my gosh,
all these
yeah.
things they're human, right? They
Yeah.
affect them. So I try not to predict, because oftentimes, and we kind of, the staff, we have this sort of thing that we do on after day one of competition. We go out to dinner and we do our guesses.
Yeah,
Like we sit down and say, okay, I think this is what,
yeah.
this is what, and then we're always madly wrong. We are always
Way
so
off.
way off base. Like we're like, what? No, every year. So I mean, I every year is different. Yeah.
In 27 years, what are the things that you've learned that skills has taught you? Because you come into this with a clean slate. The learning curve must have been massive right off
It
the
was
top.
ridiculously
right?
steep.
And
Yeah.
that's right. And at this point, so many years later, you must have learned so much from skills. What would be like your top 2 or 3?
It's funny because I feel like I've grown up with skills. So when I started, it was just, and I'm ashamed to say this, but what a skill trade was.
Yeah.
What a red seal is.
And you had to have been like early 20s.
oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I can't. I'm trying to do
Yeah, I
the
was
math
10.
here. Yeah.
I was 10. I mean, I was in my mid to late 20s, and I
Yeah.
had done a couple of degrees purely out of,
Yeah.
no
something to do.
burning
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm desperate to do a business degree. Just,
Yeah.
oh, I need a job. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have no regrets, obviously, because I lucked
You
into
landed
a
in this.
gift of
Yeah,
a job,
yeah.
right, that I've loved for all these years. But I think for me, learning about, just learning about careers, knowing that I will never know everything there is to know about all of these trades. I will never be an expert in any of these trades. I will never be an expert in any of these technologies. But the joy is finding those that are experts.
Yeah.
And then, so that was sort of when I was early career, realizing I have all these options that I didn't even know about myself. I didn't know I could do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe I would be a good welder. right?
Probably.
Maybe I could have. Maybe I could have done that. And I had no idea that was even an option for me. So that was a revelation. And then as I moved into as a parent, right? So then
Right.
I had a
That
totally
lens
different
on it,
perspective
yeah.
because I have two children. My daughter's 21 And she wants to be a paleontologist, so that's her path.
Yeah, she's
My
digging in the
son-
dirt. Great
yep.
job.
Oh,
Yeah.
she loves it. And
Yeah.
my son is 17, and he's just graduating now. And he is the poster child. I love you, sweetheart. He is the poster child for no idea.
Yeah.
No idea what he wants
What
to
do
do.
you like to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I
NHL
don't
player.
know. Yeah.
No, you're not going to be an NHL. No,
Yep.
that's not happening.
You'd be
honey.
on that track by
Yep.
now.
You would
Yeah.
you would have already been there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, and he really and truly has no idea what he wants to do. And so I've sort of gone through that cycle. And in addition with my daughter and her friends and their families, that there is still those
That
parents
stigma.
who, no child of mine are, you're going to university. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what a shame. And there's a lot of people who have amazing experiences. And like I said, my daughter,
Yeah.
she knew what she wanted to do. She wanted to do science. She wants to be a paleontologist. And that's been
That's
great for her.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's, I have so many of her friends had other ideas
Yeah.
and their parents wouldn't let them do it.
Yeah.
And that's outstanding, like outrageous to me that that's still
'Cause it's
happening.
not the money, because the money's here. So it's not like the money's a discouragement. Is it the fear of safety? Like, I'm not sure what it is.
I just think it's that it has been ingrained in my generation,
Yeah.
in our generation, that this is the path to success.
Yeah.
And we haven't shaken that yet. And so I still see that. And so with my son, I sat with him and went through every single program at the public college, at private colleges,
Mhm.
at Memorial University to see if anything sparked an interest.
Yeah.
It didn't. He's going to need time.
Yeah. He's
But
going to go work for a bit, see what
yeah,
he hates.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I feel like it's been good for me in that my kids' friends who did have a spark of interest
Yeah.
in something, like say, hey, come with me to our event.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just try some
And
stuff out.
phew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think with that, parents are always going to be the last nut to crack, I think, because
Yeah.
educators are there, like high school teachers. When I first started, again,
Guidance counselors not on the radar.
and
Yeah.
they were like, oh, you can, I actually had a teacher in 1998 that I called, said, I'd like to come in and talk to you about skill trades and technologies. Told me that I could come talk to the remedial class.
Okay, get out.
27 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, that was an outlier.
Yeah.
Now, we cannot get in schools enough.
Yeah. They're
Teachers,
asking you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's our superpower with skills, is that
Yeah.
our access to the schools, because they know what we can do. We deliver what we say we're going to do.
Yeah.
And we could, if we had the team, if we had I was going to say horsepower. No, if we had the manpower
Yeah. Yeah.
and the people power, we could be in schools every single day doing programming, presentations, skill futures activities, because the need is there, and teachers now are 100%, in my province anyway, they are
Yeah.
100% on board in providing all of that information, because they know the success their students could have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest change that I've seen over the last 20, 25 plus years.
And I think the proof is in the pudding, because so many of ours, I'd say we're probably the same generation. My daughter's 27, my son's 23. And we saw, because we did it. I went to university, right? So I started welding when I was 17. I went to university, and then I went back to welding, because there was no way I was going to make as much money with my bachelor's of arts degree
Yeah.
that I ever would have made
Nope.
welding. So it was like, it seemed like I enjoyed university, but I also took university differently. And I always tell young kids this, like, do trades first. And if you want to go to university later,
It's always there.
it's always there, and you can afford it. You don't have to go
Yes.
into debt. You don't have to mortgage the family future to go get an education, because you have this trade that will support you and keep you. Yeah.
One of the things I'm really proud about is in Newfoundland and Labrador, we don't have a youth apprenticeship program.
At
So
all?
students
Oh, okay.
cannot do youth apprenticeship in high school. They can't get apprenticeship.
dang.
Yeah. So we've been working to change that for
Yeah.
many years. And just a couple of years ago, I'm smiling at people as they
Yeah, no, I'm
people are waving.
We know everyone here.
A couple of years ago, we created something called the Youth Apprenticeship Summer Employment Program.
So like your own version of it. Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
we work with the provincial government.
Good.
And so now, for the first time in Newfoundland history, students can be registered apprentices in high school. So we have a wage subsidy program where, of course, we pay
Like
employers
one
for
day
their
a week
wages
or
for,
something,
Well,
or-
it's 7 weeks over the summer.
Okay, perfect.
So it's
yeah.
a summer program. So we're kind of dipping our toe in.
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So it's outside of school hours, but it's been such a huge success, and we
Oh, for
didn't know. Like
sure,
when we
yeah.
started, we thought, well, maybe we'll have 20 people apply. For this summer, we had over 350 students apply.
You probably don't
Right?
have enough spots for them.
No, we didn't. No, we had because in our this is a contract we do with the provincial government. We had funding for 80 wage subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I kind of like that because it made it a competitive
Yeah,
process.
you got to earn that spot.
You got to earn that. This is something special.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I applied and I made the cut.
Yeah,
Like it gives it a little bit of prestige, which it should
and the
be,
trades
right?
are competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think skills really brings out is that this isn't just here. This is the rest of your career. You're constantly, comparing yourself to what's happening in your trade, what's coming up, the new technologies, the new sciences, and how it affects your job, right?
Yep.
Now,
So many thoughts, but
if you, because what are your favorite trades to watch here when you come as a witness?
okay.
Which are the ones you like to hang out at?
Look, there is no beating landscape gardening midday.
You're the
day
third
two. Listen,
person to tell me
it's just beautiful because it's the day one you start off with a load of
pile
dirt,
of dirt.
right? And at the end, it's this beautiful oasis that any one of us would love to have.
Someone was just saying that there was I wish that was my backyard.
That's one of my favorites.
Mhm.
I love robotics just because it's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
and the kids,
cool.
like those kids who are programming and making these robots, have a level of
And so
technological.
fast.
Oh,
like
listen.
when you look at what they got to do in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's really fun to watch. Hairstyling. I like baking and cooking because I like.
You want to eat
If they
them.
let's taste, there's so many. I mean, some of the computer ones, you don't get to see much while they're doing it, but I love to see the final product. So, like graphic design, photography, when they lay out all the final projects
get to see it
and
all
see the
out.
artistic.
Sometimes I wish that they had that at Skills somehow, like after the event. I know it would cost millions of dollars to do, but they could film every student, and you could almost see like a recap of each event after, because there's only one of you. You can't follow them all, right? And sometimes I see some finished products, and it's like, oh, that is so amazing. I would have loved to have seen the step by step of that build, right?
Maybe we should set up time lapse of one of those categories that really has a big building and dramatic, end just to see the process.
Yeah.
But there's just so many. I love listening to the public speaking competition because, I love the fact that their topic is always related to skilled trades and the importance in the economy or, and so how would you promote skilled trades to underrepresented groups, for example, I think might be their topic this year.
Yeah.
And I learn so much. I've been doing this a long time. I sit in that, if I'm able to sit and listen to their speeches, I learn so much. I'm like taking notes. I'm going to put that in my next speech. I'm going to put that in the chairs next, because you learn these kids, like they have such creativity and their thought processes are different. Like it's a different generation. I'm really impressed by, there's a lot of chatter sort of about the effect of COVID on this generation of students because it absolutely did affect them.
It's a worldwide event, absolutely,
right? But I think one thing that I've seen that the most is the resilience, and how they've taken that awful situation and sort of have a renewed joy for. It
also kind of showed them what
do.
World War II showed the boomers is that you'll get through.
Absolutely,
you'll get through. Work, keep at it, don't stop, and the essential skills and the trades are the fabric of that. Yeah. Now, for your organization to bring together the PTCs, all the provincial coordinators, and then your national trainers, and then the industry, how do you source all that? How important are the partnerships within your province?
We wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
We wouldn't exist without all of the educational institutions, without obviously our provincial government, all of our corporate sponsors, federal government. But the biggest key for us is because we're such a small province and we don't have, we don't have access to, say, large venues like this. Mm-hmm. So we rely on hosts for all of
industry
our activities.
Hosts,
industry and unions. And,
right.
We work with a lot of the different unions in our province. So anytime, and the doors are always open.
Yeah.
Like anytime we want to we have a program called Skill Futures, which is all about bringing students in, and they spend half the day doing experiential learning, hands-on on the tools, and the afternoon hearing from mentors in those fields.
Yeah.
It's a phone call. It's a
Yeah.
phone call. Any one of the local, whether it's industry associations or the unions or the training institutions, it's a phone call. We want to
Yeah.
bring kids in, you name the day, and they go be above and beyond. So, and of course, to do that as well, aside from just having the institution, the volunteers, like,
Right.
again,
That's
comes
a
back
whole
to the
nother
express.
network. Yeah.
Oh, listen, they are key, right?
Yeah.
And we would not exist without that support. But thankfully, like I mentioned earlier, people really get it.
Mm-hmm.
People who know about us get it.
Yeah.
And they want to support our kids.
It's
They
like
want
a
to support our students.
whirlpool, though. Like you dip your finger into it, and it's gonna suck you.
Well, we joke that we're the mafia because
Yeah,
once you're
yeah.
in, you are never getting out. And you will want to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I asked that in the previous guest because she had been around for a long time too, and the mafia comment.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that. I've been with Skills a long time.
Yeah.
I'm also sucked in, so
Yeah.
it is. But now with the extent of your career, how often or how proud, I guess, is probably the better question, are you to see the cycle play out from student to mentor to trainer to on the exec board?
It's funny. We actually have someone here with us this year who's an NTC for the first time, who competed in aircraft maintenance in, I believe it was 2000. He was a competitor in 2000, and now he's back as an NTC. And we joke that we're two old fogies now. That's and it's just so exciting to see the people who value and appreciate the opportunity that they were given.
Yeah.
Want to give that back. They want to come. They're want
not
to
just gonna
train.
take it and hoard it.
No,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want to share it with the world, and they want to take what they've learned and their experiences, good and bad, their challenges and their successes, with the new student, the new competitor.
Amazing.
Because they want to make it easier for them. And we have several competitors who have gone on now to serve on our board, which I love because they've seen the whole spectrum. They know what it's like. And in our province, we actually offer a competition at the junior high level. We've been doing that now for
grade 7 or grade 6?
7, 8,
and
and
up.
9.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
there is a grade 6 student. There's a grade 6. Some schools are 6 to 9, but most
Yeah.
are 7 to 9.
Okay.
They're welcome in grade 6. But we've been doing that for almost the entire,
Some people will say that's too
26
young,
years.
but I disagree.
No,
Yeah.
not. I'll tell you, the reason that started was when I was doing provincial competitions in the beginning, I felt that by high school, they've already got their attitude set. They may
Yeah.
not know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but these attitudes that they have about what a valuable career is, that is set
Yeah, the
before
bias
they
has
get
been
to
pushed
it's
in.
there, right?
Yeah.
So it was important to me to start much earlier. And one of the fun things about our intermediate competition, so at our intermediates, we offer, all of the technology areas, all of the employability areas. We do robotics. This year, we're going to be doing CO2 car races and some green energy
fun,
competitions
yeah.
for the first time. What I find about that event is they're still young enough that they're not too cool.
Yeah.
So they show up, and schools show up in matching costumes, and
They can be
and
free.
they
yeah.
have so much
yeah.
fun, and it's okay to be excited by it and show that excitement. So the award ceremony is always so much fun because they're jumping up and down and screaming. And I mean, the high school students and the post-secondary students, of course, they're excited when they win,
Yeah.
but it's kind of this more oh yeah,
Yeah,
man.
there's a job to do.
Yeah, got it done, right? So, but I love the intermediates because what we find is how that's benefited us in many ways is that the competition experience is one that you can't really explain or prepare anybody until
No.
they've done it. And because our competition is much smaller than most, I mean, our competition will never be Alberta, Ontario. Their competition is as big as this,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Right?
close. Yeah.
So ours are, a small one at a local community. It's a much smaller event. But what I find is they start now in junior high. We have some competitors that started competing in grade 7 and competed for 6 years.
Yeah. So they got lots of practice.
They get that experience. They get the stress. They get the time management. They get to learn, how to handle those external factors that are affecting them in the moment. But again, a big key for me is that those junior high students go back to their schools and talk about all the cool things. Because at that event, they may not compete in all the trades, but we have an extensive try-a-trade,
Yeah.
right, where they get an opportunity to
Get
try
their
things
feet
and learn
wet,
about
yeah.
them. So again, they bring that back to their school,
Mhm.
and
their parents.
and their
Mhm.
parents are there, and they're excited, and they're maybe they've never seen some of these categories before, like me,
or don't know.
they don't know. So the junior high is really an important event for us. We're actually moving towards having an Atlantic.
Well, I was just at Skills Atlantic there in New Brunswick 3 weeks ago, and it was wonderful seeing the scale of the event compared to 10 years ago when it was tiny.
Yeah.
Now, for your group, as you bring everyone out here and you get them all prepped, which are the ones, or who is, I guess, going for that world spot? Who do you got here that you think is going to be a world contender? Because there's sometimes if you get them young enough, they get, like you said, to your practice thing. If they can get a couple shots at nationals, then they got a real good shot at worlds, right?
Well, we don't tend to have many people on the world because of the age.
The under 22 restriction.
And which goes back to the youth apprenticeship thing. So most of our apprentices, for example, are, probably closer to 30 than they are to 20.
Yeah.
Right. So we are ineligible, even if they win gold.
Right.
They're ineligible. So because of that, we don't tend to have that many on the team. Now, we did have somebody on the team in France in September at World Skills Lyon in cloud computing.
Nice.
So we'll see. They did really well. They
Awesome.
didn't medal, but they absolutely
medaling is very hard.
Yeah. But they had a wonderful experience. And actually, is Alex Edwards. We'll give him a little shout out. He won the gold last year at the year before at the Nationals. And as I said, he went to Lyon in the fall. He's here now.
But as a mentor, or
he's here as a coach.
Nice.
Right. And he's here with to support this year's competitor.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a
big
I have
deal.
some hope there because he's actually our competitor in cloud computing is age eligible.
Awesome.
So we'll see. I guess we'll see Saturday morning. But otherwise, I mean, you just never know, right? But a lot of the world categories are areas that we tend to have people that are older than the age, right?
Well, hopefully we can get that. I know one of the things that the more established provinces have is that once you've won gold in their province, they have basically a full-time training program for the next year. And that's kind of the dream state to get to, because we know, I've been to Worlds before. I don't know if you've gone to Worlds.
Yeah, several times, yeah.
You know that those podium finishers at Worlds, they were full-time training.
Oh, listen.
Full-time
3 years.
Training. Yeah, for a few years.
Yep.
That's all they've done is to get on that podium. How far are we from Newfoundland being able to establish enough funding and support to get, some perhaps cloud computing, some of these key areas that you're really strong in, into like full-time training positions?
I mean, that's a Canadian problem.
Yeah.
It's all across the country. It is, that is a challenge for us.
Yeah.
We all experience. Now, I mean, some categories we're going to have more access than others. And again, cloud computing is a great category to talk about because it's all, it's something that, and we actually have the Canadian experts in that
Right.
category. So training for that, though it won't be a full-time paid experience,
That's
he will have excellent training.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is one of the biggest challenges that we have as Team Canada, I would argue, is accessing the ability to train them the way that some of the other competitors are.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, and some trades have a lot more access, right? Like, I mean, I speak for welding. Like, we're a welding association for Canada. We sponsor welding across Canada, every province. We do camps and all this stuff. We support skills, but we also put money up. So like when a gold medal winner is chosen on Sunday or on Saturday morning, we have cash to support them. We make sure that they have all the tools. They're not paying for nothing, right? So we have these opportunities, but this is a niche. If only we could have that for everything.
Well, you got to
right?
we got to replicate that now.
Yeah.
We got to get you up, get your story out with and the success and the reason. Which I know you are.
Ninth in
we
the
know
world,
you
and then
are.
we got third in worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And to show that and see if we can replicate that in some of the other categories and state industry associations and there's a lot of you're getting everything back from your investment.
Absolutely. Well,
like
if you fortify your industry with these type of success stories, it increases the ability for your entire industry to elevate.
Absolutely. And that's and elevate is such a great word because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it's all about. Right.
Yeah.
Is, and elevating their experience as well and their sense of pride in what they're doing. you know,
Mhm.
there's that's invaluable. And,
Awesome.
Yep.
Last two questions.
Okay.
Question number one. If you had to pick a trade to start over,
Okay.
you're a 17-year-old kid, and knowing what you know now of all the trades, which is the one you think you'd sign up for?
Okay. What I would do and what I would be good at
You'd
might
good
be
at
two different
anything.
things. I think I would love carpentry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd be good because
Building.
I'm not
You-
great with my hands, but if I were good, like I would just love that concept of just literally building
Yeah.
and driving through a city and saying, I built
Yeah,
that,
that's
and
me,
I
that's
made
me,
that.
that's me,
So
yeah.
that's probably one I would love. On a technology side, I think I'd like something, probably like graphic design, something creative.
Something creative like that. Are you
yeah.
artistic?
No, that's why I said I couldn't do either of those things because I have no skill at all. But if this was an alternate universe,
Yeah.
I think that would be a really fun pathway to follow.
Awesome. Last question. Knowing what you know and being such a great director that you are, what advice would you give to a young competitor looking to get into this world?
Get into competitions or
Get
get
into
skill-
competitions.
Listen, testing yourself is one of the best ways to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
We already discussed it. I'm going to get
Yeah.
emotional. Okay, and I almost made it.
Yeah.
There is
I was waiting for this one to the end.
Listen, it's just whether you win a gold medal, whether you place it all, whether you mess something up day one, challenging yourself and putting yourself by choice in that stressful environment
Vulnerable.
is going to create a resilience in you that will help you in anything you do for the rest of your life.
100%.
You're always going to look back and say, I did that.
Yeah.
I was brave.
Yeah.
And, even the way that the competitors interact with each other is...
You see that camaraderie. Like I told the welders, look around this room. You guys are going to be friends for life, whether you know it or
really
not.
will.
Yeah.
And I personally would value seeing one of our competitors showing kindness to the other competitors
Mhm.
and creating those relationships. That's even more valuable to me than them taking a medal, because they will have that contact, that friendship, that shared memory. Because this is an
their life will be
experience,
so
right?
full of success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they'll, no matter how they perform, no matter what, where they are in the standings, they're going to come out of this a better person than they came in.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. That was fat. I saved the juicy one for the end there. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us. This has been fantastic. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the support for Skills Canada. We really appreciate everything you do for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And for all the people following along these skills episodes, remember there's a whole bunch of them. We're going to be recording for 2 days straight, plus some online. So if you happen to stumble into this one, watch them all. They're amazing stories from province to territory, all 3 coasts of Canada. All right. And so I'll catch you at the next one.
We hope you enjoyed the show.